10th, 2022 public hearing of the City of Prescott Preservation Commission. Members present are James McCarver, Richard Sprain, Michael Mirko, and I am Robert Burford, the chair. We also have Kat Moody, Preservation Specialist, Tammy DeWitt, Community Planner, Councilman Eric Moore, thank you.
And on Zoom, we have Councilman Brandon Montoya.
Okay. Thank you. And Kaylee Nunez is our recording secretary and all-around good person.
Thank you.
This is an open public hearing and is being videotaped and tape recorded by the city. The proceedings are being televised by representatives of the public media, local cable and/or radio stations, and may also be rebroadcast. The number of commission members present is 4, so we do have a quorum. It will require a vote of 4 to act on any motion. All parties wishing to be heard will be expected to state their name and address for the record so that we may know who is speaking and can record their comments and come up to the podium as need be. Please turn off all your cell phones and electronic devices and any noise makers you've chosen to bring here today. And if you're on Zoom, then mute yourself when you're not talking. I'm sure I'm talking to someone out there about that. So our agenda today is the next item on the agenda is approval of the May 13th minutes. If everyone has had a chance to review those, and are there comments or corrections, then if not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll entertain that motion.
Okay, it is.
Will you speak into the mic and then say your name when you make a motion?
Mike Mirko and I will make the motion to accept the minutes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Rick Sprain, second.
Thank you. Those in favor of approval of the previous minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? This carries. Our next item on the agenda is HP 22009. The address is 110 East Gurley Street, and it's in the Historic Preservation District Number 1, the Courthouse Plaza. And this request is for approval for a sign face change, a change in the signage on the side of the building. And again, as we oftentimes have, it's after the fact. And with that, I will turn this over to Ms. Moody.
Thank you and good morning.
Aye.
As indicated, this is a sign on the old bank building. The address submitted for this item is 110 East Gurley. The bank building is located at the corner of Gurley and Cortez here on the northeast corner, and so it's with the lighter roof in this aerial. The sign is actually on this east face of the building, visible as you're coming down Elks Hill. And as we often do, I'm going to provide a little history first. The bank building was constructed in 1901, and this is a shot of the Daily Miner when the bid notice went out for contractors to construct the building in 1900, and it indicates that the bids were due to the office of D. Kilpatrick. This is David Kilpatrick. He was the architect at the time for this building, one of the many Scottish architects who were part of the early territorial period here in Prescott. And this is the building at its completion in 1901. It appears very much like this today. This is a shot of David Kilpatrick overseeing the quarry of the stones for the building. He's in the suit on the right here, but you can see they have their wagon and the large stone coming back from the quarry. And this is a rare shot of the actual quarrying of stones for one of the Prescott buildings, significant buildings downtown. He, as a related point of fact, he worked in Prescott for a very short period of time, but was very prolific. So he also was the architect for the Bashford Burmester store here, shown in this picture before the expansion to the west. That's from 1901. And then he also was the architect for Washington School, as well as the Palace, and the Congress Hotel, which sat on the site of what is now the Hacienda. And then by 1902, there was a notice in the paper that David Kilpatrick had died in Port Townsend, Washington, where he was located at the time. And so very short but prolific history in the area. And I have one other series of images that show this building. This is from a traffic signal wrap you may have seen at the corner where this bank building is located at Gurley and Cortez. And this is the set of images that shows the building as it sat during the period when the streetcar system was being developed. So the building in question is here, and this is a shot of the Pacific and Mount Union Railway. And this was a electric streetcar system. So the text here, because it's small, generally states that electric service came to Prescott in 1894, and it opened the path to expansion of services, and one of those was an electric streetcar system. This ran from on the west side of town at approximately Park Avenue, up Gurley, and then over to near Yavapai College, over to the VA. And so which was Fort Whipple. And so the streetcar ran from 1905 to 1912. And the electric cars held 28 passengers. The fare was 5 cents. The car ran from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., and many of the soldiers from Fort Whipple would walk into town, but the last car of the night at 11 p.m. was fully crowded because they all wanted to ride back after being in town drinking. So the streetcar could not stay operational due to lack of ridership when Fort Whipple was deemed obsolete in 1912, and that was its demise. So 7 years, that was it. So that's a little history of the site. The request today is for a sign, as Chairman Burford indicated, which has already been installed. The history of this sign is that it was originally a Valley National Bank sign, and I do not know if I've got that in here. Oh, yes, I do. Let me open this so you can see the original configuration. This is a shot of the sign from up above on the hill, and there's close-up here. This was originally a sign for Valley National Bank. Valley National Bank followed Prescott National Bank, which was the original bank that constructed the building. This was painted on the brick on the east side of the building originally, and the Valley National Bank was located here from 1923 to 1957. The sign was painted over sometime in the 1980s, and it's had many iterations during its period of existence. It included real estate development, mostly real estate development, but a variety of other businesses, and have used this signage space. In 2011, the Preservation Commission approved painting over the sign, and that was the last time the signage was actually painted on the brick. In 2015, this commission approved the conversion of this sign to a panel system so that the replacement of the sign would not actually require painting over previously painted brick. And so the old sign from 2011 is actually beneath this signage here, and I've got a couple of close-ups where you can see the panel system. So this is the installed sign for Stringfield, which is a real estate community outside city limits. This is considered off-site signage. It's grandfathered in as a non-conforming sign, so it is permitted, but it would not be permitted today, both due to the off-site signage aspect as well as its size. And I've got a shot from the side here where you can see this is the panel edge, and in order to reface the sign, canvas is printed and then stretched and then secured in this panel system. This makes it so that the changing of the signage is easier, more affordable, and protects the brick as it sits in place. And we do not have the applicant here, so I will attempt to answer any questions. The sign permit is in for this as well, and approval by this commission is a contingency for the approval of the after-the-fact sign permit. Because it's after the fact, they will be charged an increased fee rate for the building permit portion. We do not have a additional fee for after-the-fact work for this commission. And with that, I'll turn it over to you all.
Thank you, Kat. I have one question. Is the existing brick, is that a fresh coat of paint on it or not? Or I don't know whether it even matters, but.
It's not. It has been painted for many, many years. It was painted back when the sign was painted in 1980. And it has been touched up through the years, but it's always been painted that color, and it's painted masonry. We would not allow that today, but it was done years ago.
So it's allowed to be maintained as well as painted?
Yes, it is.
Okay, are there comments?
You said the sign is oversized?
It is.
By how much?
I am not sure of the exact square footage that it would exceed. It depends on the amount of signage that's on the main portion of the building at any one time. So it varies from time to time. It's just listed as a grandfathered off-site oversized sign.
An off-site, I mean, an advertisement for something that's not
Not in the building, correct.
And that wouldn't occur today?
Although technically, this is advertising an off-site location, but the sales office is in the building, so it's a little bit of a, potentially a little bit of a gray area, but the sales office is located in the building, hence the finger pointing to the door. So you can make contact with somebody in a sales office here, but the actual location of Stringfield is out Williamson Valley Road.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
The sign that this replaced was the same size as the current sign?
Yes, the sign is a fixed size at this point.
And do you know what the city allows size-wise for these types of signs?
For these types,
Of
it's based
commercial
on,
signs?
it's based on the building frontage along the street.
Okay.
So it would be based on both the Gurley Street side and the Cortez Street side. Linear running feet of that building would determine the square footage for this location.
Do you have any idea how much larger this sign is than what would be allowed if it was a new sign? You do.
Similar to my age, considerable.
All right.
This is more than double the size of the signage that would be allowed if you look at all of the other signage on the existing building. So as Kat described, we measure the frontage of the building along streets, and that's how you determine how much signage can go in. But we count all of the signage that's already existing along there. This has been an existing legal non-conforming since 1970-something? The original
Since
sign for Country Bank or?
in the 1980s, yeah.
So it's carried on with the existing size and hasn't been allowed to change the size. Per non-conforming rules and zoning codes, if they make the sign smaller, they're fixed at that smaller size, but it can still be larger than they're allowed. They have chosen to frame this and keep the sign the same size permanently. And as long as they don't exceed the size that was made legal non-conforming, grandfathering is the common terminology. As long as they don't exceed that size, they could replace the sign faces through a permit process, which these guys kind of got out of order, but forever as far as our codes go.
So if I'm correct, there's actually nothing we can do or deny or...
The primary review you would have, sorry, I'm probably speaking for Kat, the primary review you normally have is for the appearance of the sign, not necessarily the size of it. That's a city code requirement, so we're not going to bring you a new sign that's oversized, because we have rules that apply to those square footages. But it's the appearance of the sign, the design of the sign. Those are your primary focus areas. So yes, you could tell them you don't like the white Stringfield. You could address the color scheme versus the compatibility with the building colors behind it. Those are within your purview.
So if I have this straight, the painted signs were large, but they were smaller than this.
No, the
sign.
previously painted sign was exactly the same size.
And
And
when-
it is still located behind the panel frame.
Right. And when a new sign is placed in this circumstance, the rules that allowed the previous sign to be grandfathered in as oversized, they carry through. You don't lose those privileges when you put a new sign up.
Correct. As long as the sign occupies the same space, it's the sign size and location that's grandfathered. So that larger size sign is continuously allowed until they voluntarily change it to something smaller and more conforming, at which point they can't go back to the larger sign. I would never anticipate them reducing the size of it, though it can happen. We have had non-conforming signs removed by owners voluntarily, and they lose the ability to go to the larger size sign.
So that's not an issue that we address on this commission.
As far as the nonconformance, it's established in the land development code, our zoning code.
Okay.
And by the way, that was George Worley, planning manager, at the microphone. We all know him here. So I guess that's a clearer understanding of what our capabilities are here today with the sign and its presentation more than its size. Does anyone have any comments on the sign itself? Or?
And I'll just mention, just as a point of reference, the sign that was previously here also had what I've called in the staff report, the old-timey finger pointing to the door, and it also advertised development out Williamson Valley American Ranch, and had a fairly similar color scheme to this.
And we will probably see another one in a few years. So if we don't like it, wait, I guess, is a possibility.
Well, Stringfield Ranch will probably sell out at some point, and there'll be no need for the sign at that point. So,
Right.
The color is sort of a dark brown.
yes, it is. And I think you can see that in these shots here, close-ups.
Yeah, it's, I don't feel it's offensive,
Nor do I.
but, okay, any other comments on this?
There was previously a Realty executive sign on this site. The only time the signage was ever, where a condition was placed on an approval for signs at this location was when Realty executives placed a sign here, and their colors were very bright red and very bright blue, and the commission at that time required a muting of those colors to be more compatible with the building. The signs since the Realty executive sign have been more earth tones, browns and off-whites and golds.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Worley, what would be the size of the sign if it were up to code or down to code?
It depends on the signage that's existing on the other building faces. So there's a clock, there's signage on the clock arm, there's signage at the door on the Gurley Street side, business directory, and additional signage there. On the front of the building, there's also additional signage for what is the old bank entrance candle shop area. So all of those signs added up together would determine what was left over in square footage.
So there's some type of formula that's used.
There is.
I'm just thinking about the big mural on the Burmester building.
The mural is not signage on the Burmester building.
In the back of it.
Yeah, it's a mural. It does not advertise a business in that building, so it's handled completely differently.
We treat artwork differently than signage. Signage is based on attracting people to the building for business purposes or identifying services or materials that are provided at the site.
With that, I would entertain another motion.
Rick Spring, to approve HP 22-009, the sign at 110 East Gurley Street. To approve, make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
The motion has been made and seconded to approve HP 22-009 as presented.
Seconded by Michael Mirko.
Yes, yes, we want to get in that practice in case I'm not here and I have to review the minutes via video, so.
Thank you.
You don't know our voices?
Those in favor, this is Chairman Burford, those in favor of the approval, in favor of the motion to approve HP 22-009, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, one and all. Next item of business, if anyone has an update or current events or comments, usually Ms. Moody has something to say, I hope, or not.
I just wanted to report, I know this is something I've been mentioning at each of our meetings. We have begun work on the revisions and updating of the Historic Preservation Master Plan. And we have, Rick Sprain has been assisting with that and is going out and photographing locations and sites which are representative of the different architectural styles and contain essential architectural elements to each style in each district. So that work has begun and is underway.
Great. Look forward to that.
And that's all I have.
Does the Historical Society have a meeting this summer?
You mean the State Historic
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Preservation?
Historic
They
Preservation.
are going to have a meeting, I think it's in August, and I can certainly get you all that information and email it out. It's being held in Yuma in August.
Yes, let's all go.
We can't have you draw straws to see who goes.
This is the first time that Yuma has hosted this conference. It tends to rotate between Phoenix, Tucson, Prescott, and Flagstaff being the primary metropolitan areas. 1 year it was in Oro Valley, which is fairly close to Tucson, but the location, they do try to rotate around the state, and this will be the first time that Yuma will be the hosting city. But I can certainly get you that information.
Okay, thank you. I think that's the long and short of it here for the moment, so I will
Can I ask Kat one more question?
Oh, sure.
I'm curious, do you know what's in this building below the sign?
There's the real estate office, there's some professional offices. It's generally professional.
I've never seen anybody come and go from it. It's a mysterious building to me.
Well, the candle, Armadillo Candle Waxworks was there, but they're gone. They pulled out of there.
I think they're still there. I haven't walked by to see if they're still there. I think there was an article in the paper about them relocating. That was for the actual candle factory. This is their retail venue. So I believe the retail business is still located in the front portion, the bank lobby area of the building.
Michael, you need to be buying some candles.
I will adjourn this June 10th meeting of the Prescott Preservation Commission. Thank you.